Hello Warriors of Light. In today's video we're going to be dissecting Flowers for All from Final Fantasy XIV. I don't see a damn flower anywhere. I went through using a nifty tool called Ninja Ripper that rips any 3D models inside of the camera's view, and it allows us to open it up in Blender. Please support the amazing developer of this software if you plan on using it. By dissecting I mean I ripped each shot from the cutscene and looked for anything that looked funny. Some oddities are just wacky stuff. And believe me, in this cutscene, it is full of wacky stuff. That being said, a small disclaimer. This video will probably make you see this cutscene differently. And the things I make fun of is to not trash this methods, but just things to point out because it's just funny to me. And also, Ninja Ripper is a tool that only rips what's in front of camera. So unfortunately, it can't capture what's going on behind the camera. Obviously, the most ideal scenario would be to use a camera mod that pauses the cutscene to look around it. However, as of right now, there's no such camera mod has been made, so we kind of just gotta work with what we can get. Alright, let's get started. I'll start off by showing you the very first shot of the cutscene. There's not a whole lot going on here, but it gives us a chance to see the Chocobo driver up close and to see if there's anyone inside the carriage. This next shot is where things start to get interesting. This is where the gate is opening and not much has changed from the carriage, but if we do take a look behind it, we can actually see the three characters, including our own, just floating behind the carriage. And I went ahead and rewatched the cutscene, and you can see them behind the carriage here. You think they'd just be moved off camera somewhere, but here they are in just plain sight. I also made sure that this is not a private server or a Ninja Ripper issue. So moving on to the very next shot, I'm able to show you what these characters look like from a different perspective. However, if we move on over to the carriage again, we can see that the here and the Elizin are here, but our character is missing. So where did she go? Well, if we look back further, we can actually see her floating in the air. And if we look at the cutscene again, we can see our character just slowly sliding through and out of the carriage. One of the best things about this cutscene that I'll point out is how much the characters are reused in each shot. For instance, this Lalafell here was just used in the last shot, but now he's over here looking like he's going on a shopping spree. Now, I know this is just utilizing character resources. However, in the second cutscene with the parade, it is so blatantly used, it's honestly hard to miss. And he's reused again in this shot. And also, I noticed that our character is off screen over here. This next one is one of my favorites in this cutscene. When the carriage passes by these characters, it's actually moving directly behind these characters, and the Chocobos are stuck in a T-pose. This next one is the tunnel inside of Eorzea, and I'll very quickly show you these characters up close, and two of them are these characters are being reused. It's actually funny because as I'm editing this video, I'm just finding out more things about the cutscene. When we go up to the carriage, we can actually see the female Elizin that we were riding with. And she kind of just looks like she's standing here in her idle pose. But if we go further, we can see that there's two Lalafells over here that looks like they're about to be called in to the next shot. So moving farther ahead, I want to show you what the storm looks like. Now, unfortunately, it's not fully textured, but I'll give you a sense of scale and what the model actually looks like. This next part is really good. I only wish I could see this in the actual game. Here's our player character looking up at the storm. And behind her, we see Minfilia and her dad off screen. But what's funny about this whole cutscene is that the rogue Aiden, the two Lalafels, Thancred, and the two women he is with, this is the first time we see them in the entire cutscene. And the first time we see him is literally out of the carriage that we just got out of. Let's move on to the next cutscene where things actually get even better. This first shot, I'm going to just show you the characters because these characters jump around practically with everyone else. And this is the platform that is transporting the Gobu. Already we're starting to see the exact same characters being used from the last shot. We can also see these Lalafels floating here, which is funny because you don't even actually see them in shot. I want everyone to take note of this shot here because it established that there are in fact two platforms in this parade. This will be important later on. The funniest part about this shot is that these ladies are literally in the next shot, standing with everyone on the ground. This character here I don't believe is Minfilia's father because there is another character throughout this cutscene that looks like him. Now I want to take a moment to show you just how much teleporting the characters are doing. I also just want to say that I just love this shot here. And I think it's just because the reaction of the player character and just the timing of the animation of it. Here is the most iconic shot, I would say, of this cutscene. And here we can see it from a different angle. And we have this shot here where Flamen hands Minfilia the flower. And here is the first shot in which we see Thancred. These next shots here are when the Gobu goes berserk and starts breaking free. Okay, so now we're going to jump back really quick to the part right after the Gobu hits the Thermotog off the platform. Remember when I said there are 2 platforms? Well, in this shot, you can actually see the Gobu teleporting in the actual cutscene to the second platform behind the first one. And finally, here is the last shot of the second cutscene. So let's move on to the third and final scene. The final cutscene isn't as interesting as the first 2, but it does have some of its shenanigans towards the end. So it's mostly just seeing these shots from different angles. Okay, so right here is where things get interesting with the Gobu running down the alleyway here. We see and we know that the Gobu is moving away from the quicksand building, but in the next shot, he teleports back into the walkway leading up to the alleyway next to the quicksand. My favorite part of this scene is we get to see Minfilia's dad running towards her off screen. It almost makes me wonder if there's a full animation of him running and diving towards her to save her from the Gobu. And finally, I wanted to ask myself, is the wall actually broken that the Gobu smashed into? Well, not really. He's just kind of just phasing through the wall, and the smoke or dust just kind of covers it. And that will end today's video. It's really interesting and just hilarious to see all these shenanigans happening in this cutscene. They're in-game cutscenes, and this one was actually way more chaotic than the other two. I would like to do this process, however, with the other two opening cutscenes to see if I can find similar things. However, I do want to move on to the other high-quality cutscenes for now. So in the next video, I'm going to be doing all of Limsa's high-quality scenes. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, Warriors of Light.